Welcome back to the Twin Football Podcast. It is Wednesday, September 18th, which means we are one day away from the third week of the NFL season. And we got Jacob here with us. Thanks for joining as we have our NFL picks today. A great week of games where we start to figure out who is who has a chance, who's already doomed for the playoffs. So let's go ahead and just dive straight in with tomorrow's kind of tricky Thursday night game as the Patriots take on division rivals, the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, first game back since he tore his Achilles there at the Meadowlands. 86% got the Jets, and I'm going to have to roll with the Jets on this one as well. I think it's a low-scoring game, but I think the introduction of Braylon Allen last week, along with Breece Hall in the pass game, allows for, kind of a lot more from the run game a lot more from the run game and the short pass game for the Jets. So I like the Jets in this one.
Yeah, I do too. I think a lot of people are just riding on Jets without thinking it because they're playing the Patriots. But Patriots won one game and lost another in overtime. They have a way better start to the season. Divisional rivalry. It's gonna be a closer match than people are saying. But I like Jets too.
Yeah, roll with the Jets there at home. The Cleveland Browns are at home against the New York Giants. Who do you have?
Yeah, so Giants coming off that loss to the Commanders where they had their punter take their PAT after Graham Gano went up injured. I think I could have kicked that one better. He just hooked it. Wasn't even close. They didn't even try it after that. They proceeded to go for two-point conversions on their touchdowns, and they missed both of those. Those three PATs that Gano would have easily chipped in turned out to be the difference in the game. Giants defense are so bad on third and long. I lost track of how many third and longs they just let a rookie quarterback just take over. And Daniel Jones was much better last week than he was in week one, but he was so bad in week one. That's the only reason why he was a lot better. He still wasn't that impressive. Browns coming off a win against Jacksonville that we rightly called. The defense just carried them as we expected, held them to just 13 points. They had 4 sacks. Myles Garrett getting another sack, 2 sacks in as many games. AP Defensive Player of the Year, just flexing his stuff. They capped off the win with a safety, which I thought was very fitting because the defense just won the game for them. They're out. Njoku is out. And Deshaun Watson holds a starting position for now, but Jameis Winston is creeping around the corner. I like Browns here, but mostly because not Giants.
And mostly because not Giants indeed. 0-2 and a long, long way from one and anything, in my opinion. I just don't know where that win's going to come from. Green Bay picking up the win with a backup quarterback. Last week, they take on Tennessee, who are kind of unlucky not to have a win so far this season. Will Levis with costly turnovers in both games so far to start the season. Calvin Ridley did pick it up there last week, getting more into the offense. I actually am going to roll with the Tennessee Titans in this one. And the reason why is Green Bay had possession for 40 minutes against the Colts last week. They rushed for over 200 yards. They had a 90% completion rate there or thereabout, only 1 turnover, and still only scored 16 points. I don't know what they did the whole game. What did they do with the ball? They get first downs, they go backwards. I don't understand it. I don't know where all these yards came from. I don't know where anything came from. 16 points, that's it. Tennessee, they will make mistakes, but they're going to score more than 16 points. So I just have to roll with Tennessee there. I have to roll with Tennessee. 20% I think is so low, and we're going to ride the Tennessee Titans to get their first win. They're at
80% of people picking Malik Willis to start the season 2-0 is crazy.
It's crazy. Well, you know what they say, but he's better than Will Levis. So we'll see. We'll see that. I think Will Levis will do quite well, especially in the run game when needed, and he'll pick up the needed first downs to get the Tennessee Titans a win. Colts fall to 0-2 despite 2 close games. I think only a combined loss of 9 points so far. They host the Bears. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, Bears coming off that loss to the Texans. They got their first offensive touchdown in 2 games. Good for them. Caleb Williams, 2 interceptions. You can start to see, though, he's starting to feel more comfortable being an NFL quarterback. I saw some improvement from the first game, even though he did have 2 interceptions in this game. He got sacked 7 times, though, which I think him and his offensive line are equally to blame. He needs to throw the ball away more quickly. He can't outrun these defensive tackles like he could in college. He's really got to hammer that in and just throw the ball away. It's such a drive killer for him to hold on to it like that. And Colts coming off that tough loss to the Packers. Anthony Richardson with an uncharacteristically bad game. He had some just bad interceptions. I think he was trying to force it. He had 2 of those interceptions in the fourth quarter. He was trying to just make something happen. One of them was on a Hail Mary attempt, so we'll call it 2 interceptions just to be nice to the guy. Josh Jacobs fumbled the ball on the goal line, and the Packers center even threw up on the ball to try to help the Colts out, but they still just couldn't win the game against Malik Willis. This is a sneaky, tough game to pick. Colts have DeForest Buckner placed on IR, the 6'7" defensive tackle. I don't trust Caleb Williams right now to put up enough points to beat this Colts team. I'm going Colts, but I could easily see this game going either way.
Yeah, I think DeAndre Swift has a great game in this one. Colts defense from the run side. We saw what Josh Jacobs were able to do. I think DeAndre Swift is going to have at least 100 yards of this one, but I could see Anthony Richardson just pulling something out. I agree. So this one, definitely one to watch. Another great run on the slate this week is CJ Stroud and the undefeated Texans taking on the undefeated Minnesota Vikings with Sam Darnold at the helm. I don't know that anyone thought we would say this after kickoff on the first week, the undefeated Minnesota Vikings, but they have been fantastic. They have beaten San Francisco back-to-back years now. A 99-yard reception for Justin Jefferson last week against San Francisco. Yeah. 97, absolutely insane. And I'm kind of surprised by the 71%, 29% split here, but I'm rolling with the Texans. And the main reason why is, you take away that long touchdown from Justin Jefferson, which is blown coverage, and then, he's just getting into open space and good night there. The Minnesota Vikings, from a pass defense standpoint, really haven't been that great. And the Texans have so many
300 plus yards.
Yeah. And especially when you look at chunk plays. And Nico Collins loves chunk plays. You chuck it up to him, he's going to go up, he's going to grab it. Doesn't matter, single coverage, double coverage. And the biggest thing, I think, last year for the Texans, the biggest problem that they had was converting field goals into touchdowns. And I think adding Stephon Diggs, we've already seen it through 2 weeks, adds that extra way to score in the red zone with some quick slants, how quick and agile that Stephon Diggs is. Joe Mixon is running downhill every time he touches the ball. So I like the Texans to turn field goals into touchdowns and get the edge here, even if the game is in Minnesota. Next, the undefeated New Orleans Saints, another one of those kind of surprise unbeatens, and 61% say that they will maintain that. What do you say?
Yeah, so this, in my opinion, is one of the harder games to call for the week. There's a lot of hard ones this week, but this is definitely up there. Eagles coming off that super tough, crazy loss to the Falcons. Nick Sirianni doing his best Pete Carroll impression. Just run the ball. Don't throw the ball. Just run the ball. You got Marshawn Lynch. You got Saquon Barkley. If you run the ball twice, they're going to get 3 yards. It was 3rd and 3. Falcons had 0 timeouts. Honestly, if they would have just need the ball there, they could have ran the clock down to a minute, and then it took the Falcons a minute and like 10 seconds to score the touchdown. They wouldn't have had enough time. He literally just needed to knee the ball. I don't know what he's thinking. Saquon in recent years has had some issues dropping the ball. Nick Sirianni needs to know his personnel. He has 16 drops since the start of the 2021 season. It's the most among all running backs. Again, they could have just need the ball and they probably would have won the game. The defense needs some criticism too. They just let Kirk Cousins execute a perfect 2-minute drill like he's Tom fucking Brady. That being said, the tush push was working really well again. They ironed out their center issues that we saw in week 1. Devontae Smith, stepped up in the absence of AJ Brown. Saquon still looks super solid despite that one horrible drop that everyone's criticizing him for. I don't think it was his fault. Obviously, he needs to catch the ball. Stupid play call. Jalen Hurts was making a lot of plays with his arm and his legs. I think that all looked really good. Their offense looks potent, but their defense is just bad. Saints coming off that huge win against the Cowboys to show everyone they're the real deal. We weren't sure after that win at the Panthers if they were the real deal. I think a lot of people were doubting them in that Cowboys matchup. We all got shut up really quick. Derek Carr starting the season 15 for 15 scoring on his first 15 drives to start the season. I've never heard of a performance like that. Alvin Kamara, 4 TDs against the Cowboys. And they've got a tiny bit of injury issue with the Honey Badger. He's nursing that heel injury. But other than that, the Saints are one of the least injured teams, and I think that's really helping them. I like Saints here slightly. I think the Eagles, I wouldn't be surprised if they figure their stuff out and win that one, but I can't pick the Eagles defense right now. I'm going Saints.
Who dat gonna beat them Saints 3-0 to start the season? That is fantastic. 2 teams who we are 4-0 so far on the Twin Football Podcast picks. In picking this year, the Chargers travel to Pittsburgh in their home opener as Pittsburgh had to go on the road twice against Atlanta and Denver. Finally, they get a home game. JJ Watt at home with that electric crowd is going to be absolutely fantastic. But 2 teams that love to play the same style. They both want to run the football. They both the Steelers have run 77 times so far through 2 games. The Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, that revamped offensive line, even with Justin Herbert, 71 rush attempts so far this season. The only interesting difference between the 2 teams is one team is averaging 5.7 yards per carry, while the other one is just barely over 3. So the Steelers are forcing the football and not going really anywhere. And that explains why they only have 16 points, 16 and 12 points, I think, in the first 2 games. Can the Chargers get to the 20-point mark? I think they can. I think this is a kicker battle. Both kickers haven't missed this year. I think this is going to be a field goal fest, but I do like J.K. Dobbins out of the backfield and Justin Herbert, maybe a deep pass to kind of switch it up to give them the slight edge, even if the game is in Pittsburgh. I'm rolling with the Chargers. Bo Nix, 0-2 start. Baker Mayfield, 2-0 start. I don't know which one is more surprising going into the season, but 97% say that Baker's going to go 3-0. What do you say?
I definitely think the Buccaneers starting 2-0 is a little bit more surprising, especially playing the Lions last week. I think a lot of people were riding with Lions. Baker Mayfield's just playing out of his mind. He played less well last week, but he's playing a good Lions defense. Getting sacked 5 times by Aiden Hutchinson definitely rattled him a little bit. He had that one interception, but he still had a touchdown throwing, and he had that quarterback draw from 11 yards out. Go back and watch that highlight. He looked like a proper running back. What a run. Baker's just playing out of his mind. I'm going nothing but Bucks here. Broncos coming off that loss to the Steelers where they only scored 6 points, 0 touchdowns. Steelers defense is insane, but yeah, Bo Nix, 2 interceptions in back-to-back games. He's earning that nickname every week, and I feel bad for the guy, but he's gotta learn how to not turn the ball over, and it doesn't look like Sean Payton's helping him out very much right now. I like Bucks here.
Hey, Peyton Manning's going to be happy. Maybe somebody's going to beat his rookie turnover record as a quarterback. Carolina, we're going to bump them the same group as the New York Giants. Bryce Young, sad to see it, but he is benched this week. So we'll see if the Red Rifle can come in and give them a spark. But I still like that defensive front, that passing game of the Raiders to come back after beating Baltimore and getting a win at home. Give me the Raiders here. Miami also losing their quarterback. They travel to take on Seattle. Who do you got?
Yeah, so Miami, and they haven't played away yet. That's where they like to be. They like to be at home. Like coming off that huge, devastating loss to divisional rivals, probably people will say the most important game of the season. The Bills at home, and the game just from the beginning was just not good. They just were getting torched, and then just to make it worse, Tua goes off injured with a bad concussion, his third concussion since entering the league. He had another one at Alabama. He's placed on IR for now. A lot of people are calling for him to retire. I don't disagree with that. I think he really needs to think about his health long term and his family, and it's just not good. You hate to see that. Dolphins are in a really tough position. Skylar Thompson, the Kansas State Wildcats, going to get the start. He did not look good when Tua went off. Granted, he wasn't expecting to come on, so maybe with a week in preparation, it'll help him. He's 3-5 in his career, but he only actually has one win in games that he threw more than 10 passes. So in games that he actually played and didn't just come on during garbage minutes. In that one game that he won, it was against the Jets, where they scored only 11 points, 0 field goals. They had 0 touchdowns. They had 3 field goals and a safety. The Jets had 2 field goals. It was a garbage game. Skylar Thompson definitely didn't win that game. A lot of people are calling for them to go sign Mac Jones off the depth chart on the Jaguars. I think that's a good idea. I think he'll fit a lot better than Skylar Thompson. I can't pick Skylar Thompson to win this game, which is why I'm going Seahawks. I really wanted to pick Dolphins. The Seahawks coming off that win in overtime against the Patriots, where you have to say they got some help from the refs with that bogus PI call. I think they probably end up winning anyhow. Geno going off with 300 plus yards, DK Metcalf and JSN just double-digit receptions each. They're playing pretty well. I think 2-0 flatters them. I think 3-0 is going to really flatter them, but in my opinion, they've had the easiest schedule to start the season, and this would have been their first real test. But with no Tua, this isn't really that much of a test. I like them winning this game. I think it might be closer than the 75% suggests, but Skylar Thompson's playing on the other team.
Yeah, and Seahawks 3-0. What a surprise. I think it would be a bigger surprise to many if the Ravens fall to 0-3, but they have to travel to Dallas this week. The Ravens, you watched them against the Chiefs opening game, banner night for the Chiefs. Derrick Henry's first game, 3 different offensive lines starting. How are they going to gel all of that, make that work? And they gave themselves an opportunity to win it late. But every time Derrick Henry was on the field, you knew he was going to get the ball. You knew he was going to run it. You knew exactly what was going to happen. He got about 40% of the snaps in that game. He got 47% of the snaps against the Raiders last week, but they were able to start to open up the playbook. They added more plays, play action, him going out around the edge, some sweeps with Zay Flowers, play action, Zay Flowers up the middle. And I think those types of plays are what they're going to need to get control of this game early and keep the lead. Because we saw what Dallas did against Cleveland 2 weeks ago. Yes, they got absolutely dismantled by the Saints. I think Alvin Kamara could have been wearing pure white, and we could have allowed all of the defensive players on the Cowboys to have blue paint on their hands, and he still would have been clean. He didn't get touched. It just walked around the edge into the secondary, and nobody touched him. 4 total touchdowns. You let Derrick Henry square up any one of your corners, and it is over. It's lights out. That is a 60-yard house call, and he's trucking people. 5 broken tackles already on the season, and he hasn't even been used that much, Derrick Henry has. But the Ravens have kind of a similar problem, but in the passing game, the most 20-yard pass completion so far this year is the Ravens pass defense. We saw what the Cowboys were able to do against the Browns, who also struggle giving up these long pass completions. Dallas doesn't need a lot of time. They can strike quickly and in a hurry. And I think CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and all those guys down the field are going to do damage against this Ravens defense. So I think this game comes down to, can the Ravens hold the ball long enough, march down the field against that terrible Cowboys run defense that we saw against the Saints, hold the ball and get over the line. In my opinion, I think they're going to find themselves in situations where they're going to be taking Derrick Henry off the field like they did against the Raiders when they got penalties, holding calls, got behind the chains at all. They immediately would take Derrick Henry off, put on Justice Hill. And I think that is going to tailor to the Cowboys. And I actually like the Cowboys at home here to get the win based on the fact that they're going to go down deep down the field and try to rebound against the Saints, from that Saints game. So I actually have the Ravens falling to 0-3 to start the season. I don't think we could have sat here and said that when
no one called
a
that.
couple weeks ago.
Everyone picked them to win the division. Next up, we got 49ers taking on the Rams in the injury bowl. 49ers dealing with injuries, Rams dealing with a whole lot of injuries, probably the most injured team in the NFL right now. Luckily, the Niners might be getting back Talanoa Hufanga, which is a huge, huge win for them if he can come back healthy, coming off that ACL tear in week 11 last year. Their secondary just hasn't been the same since it happened. Honestly, they might have had a better chance in that Super Bowl if Hufanga was playing. He's the second coming of Troy Polamalu. He's absolutely amazing. I can't wait to watch that
Hair
guy.
and all.
Debo out, CMC on IR. Brandon Ayuk needs to step up. Debo's out this week. He absolutely needs to show everyone why he held out for that contract. Him and his Trent and Trent Williams missing some time and showing that they're a little rusty in these first couple games to start the season. They really need to perform. Rams again, they're so injured. It's hard to pick them right now. They're coming off a bad loss against the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr. just torched them in the first quarter. The game was pretty much over after that first quarter. Their offensive line is the most injury-stricken line in the league. 5 sacks allowed. They have no running game because they can't run it, which isn't helping Matthew Stafford with the play action. I'm going Niners here. But yeah, mostly just because how injured the Rams are.
Yeah.
This should be an exciting game. It's just not.
Yeah. Toothpicks, I think, are holding together that Rams offense at this point. Detroit looking to bounce back from that loss to Tampa Bay, where the Cardinals are looking to build, like you said, on that great performance from Marvin Harrison, Kyler Murray in their home win. Only 20% backing the Cardinals here, I think, is a little low, but I can understand it because I am also rolling with Detroit to bounce back and get a good win. I think that offensive line is one of the best in football. I think the weapons that Detroit has is going to be too much for the Cardinals, and I like Detroit in this one. Sunday night sees the Chiefs and the Falcons. Falcons getting a crazy late winner against Philadelphia, like you mentioned. But it's the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this game. Chiefs coming off that last second win against the Bengals. Both their games really coming down to the wire. Haven't won either of them that convincingly, but they're playing 2 of the favorites for the AFC North. So Chiefs have probably had the hardest start to the season out of any team, and they're 2-0. So they've got to be happy with that. Pacheco out for 6 weeks with a fractured fibula. You hate to see that. They don't really have a good backup for him. They're working out Kareem Hunt right now. We'll see what happens with that. That pass interference call against the Bengals on 4th and 16 was not what you want to see. I really didn't like it. I think the biggest issue wasn't that it was called. I think the biggest issue was that we see that play happen all the time and just go uncalled. It was kind of like that Declan Rice second yellow card against Brighton, where he just kicks the ball away and gets a second yellow card. Probably.
We saw it in the same game. We saw that same exact thing happen in the same game. Declan Rice gets the second
yellow. Pedro kicked it away.
Pedro does it.
It's just when you see that kind of play and that pass interference play go uncalled so many times when it's in the most pivotal point of the entire game, really it decided the whole game. It was over in field goal range, and the game was over. Hate to see it. I think Joe outperformed Patrick Mahomes And yeah, you hate to see that, but Chiefs are still playing well. They're still the Chiefs. I think this is a sneaky hard game to call. I could see a random Falcons upset here since the Chiefs have kind of gotten away with it. Kirk Cousins, that 2-minute drill. You like that for the win.
Tom Brady.
Drake London with that amazing route and catch in the corner of the end zone for the win. He had that 15-yard penalty for just a bonehead celebration. Almost cost them the game. It was a 48-yard point after for the win. I don't think people are criticizing him enough. That could have been terrible. Bijan Robinson might be the most talented running back in the entire league, especially with CMC injured. He's so much fun to watch. I'm super excited for this game. I'm still going Chiefs, but I could see the Falcons sneaking one away.
I agree. Tom Brady and the Atlanta Falcons getting the win against the Chiefs to move to 2-1 on the year. Okay. Chiefs it is. That's fine. Jacksonville taking on the 2-0 Buffalo Bills on Sunday night. 5% backing Trevor Lawrence and Etienne to go into Buffalo and get the win. And I don't know where they're coming up with these numbers. Give me James Cook. Give me Josh Allen at home. I think they're going to hold the football. They're going to run. I like the Bills at home. Bengals need a win and need it quick now and in a hurry. Can they get it against rookie sensation Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, they win this one for sure. The Commanders coming off that win against the Giants where they really just got bailed out by a horrible Giants defense. They found themselves in third and long way too often against any kind of decent defense. The drive just ends there. Bengals, again, I think they outplayed the Chiefs. I think they probably deserved the win there. Ended up with a loss. T. Higgins is getting close to recovery. Still will probably be on a snap count. The run game looks pretty pedestrian for the Bengals. They haven't gotten 100+ yards in either game. I think it'll be enough to beat the Commanders, though. I'm riding with Joe Burrow to get his first win of the season.
Yes, and nothing better than at home on Monday night. 2 Monday night games this week, and these are all our picks from the Twin Football Podcast made on ESPN as we look to improve our 19-13 record and keep trucking up this ranking. So go ahead and make your account on ESPN and pick along with us for the rest of the season. But there you have it. A nice 16-0 picks for you to get started this week. You're going to definitely bring us up those rankings. Tomorrow, Jacob and I are going through our Premier League predictions for the upcoming week. The Champions League will be concluding in its new format. Aston Villa sitting in the second place to start today in the new UCL table after a 3-0 win against Young Boys. Absolutely fantastic. So Jacob and I will be talking all about that tomorrow here on the Twin Football Podcast. Thank you for joining us and enjoy all of the football this weekend.